Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is 6-4 Notes, Algebraic Expressions, Power Property. Objective, you'll be able to simplify algebraic expressions. You're also going to simplify algebraic expressions given scientific notation. That's more of the challenge and the extra information to push yourself a little bit further than what we normally do in class. Alright, so let's talk about the basics first. How your questions will be answered are going to be like this. Simplify. Your answer should contain only positive exponents, just like we talked about in the past. Now, what's different about these problems is now we have a set of parentheses and we have a power on the outside of that set of parentheses. When that occurs, we're going to have to do things a little bit differently. This squared applies to both the 4, the x, and the y, and applies to all three of those numbers. So if I write it out, because this is more of a shortcut way of writing things, this is equal to 4 squared, because the little square goes to the 4. This little x also gets a squared, and this little y also gets a squared. So each one of those variables or numbers gets a little squared to it. Now 4 squared is 16, which you could already see b and d are already eliminated. And then x squared, y squared. Well, this is just x to the 4th. So our answer is just that, 16x squared, y squared, for number 1. Of course, we're going to practice more. So we have 3x y squared, and the entire thing is squared. So let's rewrite it to make it a little bit bigger so it's a little bit easier for us to understand. So that squared gets applied to all of them. So 3 squared. Then we have an x squared. And then our y is a little bit different from our first problem. This is y squared squared. When something's squared, meaning this has a number there in the power already, and then it's being squared on top of it, what you got to do is you just multiply those two numbers. 2 times 2, which gets you 4. So now we have 3 squared, which is 9. Then we have x squared, and then y to the 4th. So it would be D for number 2. Look at number 3. Let's expand it to make it a little bit prettier. So the little 2 in the front gets squared, so 2 squared. Well, you guys know 2 squared is just 4, so I'm going to write 4 right away. That's easy math. Then p squared squared, well, squared, that's really, we're just multiplying, so 2 times 2 gets us 4, so it would be p to the 4th. Q squared, that's going to be q to the 4th, because 2 times 2 gets us 4. And then r to the 4th squared, 4 times 2 gets us 8. So we have 4 times p to the 4th times q to the 4th times r to the 8th, which is B for number 3. Look at number 4. We have x to the 3rd times y to the 4th times z squared, all of it to the 3rd power. So that means that 3 is going to say hello to each and every single one of those terms there. Each one of those variables, pardon me. So x to the 3rd, well, 3rd to the 3rd power, 3 times 3 gets us x to the 9th. Y to the 4th, 4 times 3 gets us 12. So we get y to the 12th. And then z squared to the 3rd power, well, 2 times 3 gets us 6. So it'll be z to the 6th. Looking at number 5, parentheses 3m to the 4th, close parentheses to the 3rd power, so it'll be 3 to the 3rd. 3 to the 3rd is 27, you can always just put that in a calculator. So 3 times 3 times 3. Then m to the 4th to the 3rd power, 4 times 3 gets us 12. So you have 27m to the 12th. Look at number 6. The 3 gets to say hello to all three of those. So x squared, 2 times 3 gets you 6. So we x to the 6th. Y to the 4th, 4 times 3 gets us 12. And z squared, 2 times 3 gets us 6. So x to the 6th, y to the 12th, z to the 6th. Which is B. Look at number 7. We got 2 squared, which is 4. Because 2 times 2 is 4. M squared squared. So it'll be 2 times 2, which gets you 4. And then q to the 3rd squared gets you q to the 6th. Because 3 times 2 is 6. So our final answer is 4m to the 4th, q to the 6th. Look at number 8. We multiply it all out. 4 to the 3rd power. Well, that's 4 times 4 times 4. I'm going to put that in our calculator, which is going to get us 64. Four times 3 gets us 12. And q to the 4th, 4 times 3 also gets us 12. All right. So that's our answer there. So 8 is A. All right, number 9, m to the 3rd. Oh, that's pretty simple. That's just m to the 3rd. Can't simplify that any further. That's an easy problem. All right, 10. Parentheses 3x y to the 4th to the squared power. Well, 3 squared you know is 9, because 3 times 3 is 9. X to the power of 1, well 1 times 2 is 2, so it'll be x squared. And then y to the 4th, 4 times 2 gets us 8. So it'll be y to the 8. Sorry, answer for number 10 is B. Alright, next step. What happens when there's numbers as bases, or when the bases are a number? We're still doing the same thing. It's the same concept. When they have the same base, you just add those powers, which we already seen a little bit before, but let's recap it just to make sure you got it. So simplify. Your answers should contain only positive exponents. That's a key. Positive exponents. So you have 3 to the 6th times 3 to the 5th. They both got a base of 3. So we write that 3. 6 plus 5 gets us 11. So we have 3 to the 11th. So number 1 is C. Let's look at number 2. 6 to the 6th times 6 squared. Well, that's 6. 6 plus 2 gets you 8. So 6 to the 8th. 2 to the power of 1 times 2 to the power of 3. That gets us 2 to the power of 4. Because 1 plus 3 gets us 4. So, answer number 3 is B. Number 4, 6 to the power of 2 times 6 to the power of 5. 2 plus 5 gets us 7. So you have 6 to the 7th. Number 5, 2 to the power of 2 times 2 to the power of 5. That gets us 2 to the power of 7. So that answer is D. Number 6, 5 to the power of 2 times 5 to the power of 6. 2 plus 6 gets you 8. So 5 to the power of 8. Number 7, 2 to the power of 2 times 2 to the power of 5 times 2 to the power of 3. Oh boy, but they're all the same base, so we're okay. They all have a base of 2. So it's going to be 2. 2 plus 5 plus 3 gets us 10, so it's 2 to the power of 10. Can't forget about the imaginary 1. 2 to the power of 1 times 2 to the power of 6. 1 plus 6 gets you 7. So you have 2 to the power of 7. Number 9, 5 to the power of 3 times 5 to the power of 4. So we have 5 to the power, well 3 plus 4 gets you 7. So 5 to the power of 7. 9 is B. Number 10, 3 to the power of 1 times 3 to the power of 6 gets us 3 to the power of 7. So 10 is A. Alright, this is when it gets a little bit more challenging. Or I should say a lot more challenging. We're going to simplify. You're going to write each answer in scientific notation. So how to do this. Alright, so I circled the answer here. The number 1 is C. Now how did I do it? Well, one of the things I did here in the calculator, I kind of broke this into 2 pieces. I know that 4 gets slapped on to that number. And then we're also going to apply this 4 to the times 10 to the negative 6. So let's talk about that first piece. Let's do 6.78 to the 4th power in the calculator. When we do that, we're going to get 2,113.093799. So that's what 6.78 to the power of 4 is. Cool, which makes sense because that's what it kind of looks like here in our multiple choice. 2113 for all of them there. So it looks like they kind of just left it at that. Now, we have to deal with this power here. So this times 10 to the negative 6. Well, times 10 to the negative 6, just like we were talking about before, we do negative 6 times 4, and negative 6 times 4 is going to be times 10 to the negative 24. Now, scientific notation has to have a decimal, only one number to the left of the decimal. So we got to move this decimal place to the left a couple times. In fact, we have to move it 3 times. So since I'm moving it to the left 3 times, 1, 2, 3 times, I'm going to change that number to 2.113. The reason why I do this is because scientific notation requires only one number to the left of the decimal place. So that's why I did it. Now to accommodate that, I have to do times 10. And since I moved it to the left 3 times, I need to add 3. We carry down the times 10 to the negative 24, because that is part of our problem. So we slap it there at the end. So we have 2.113 times 10 to the positive 3 times 10 to the to the negative 24. Now since they both have the same base, we just have to add these powers. So 3 minus 24 gets us minus 21. Hence that's how we got that minus 21. So our answer is 2.113 times 10 to the negative 21. Let's do another one together. So looking at this at problem number 2, we have 5.4 times 10 to the negative 3 to the negative 2 power. So I'm going to type in the calculator 5.4 to the power of negative 2, and I'm going to get a decimal. This decimal, I'll write it out, type it up, is going to be 0.03429 a couple of them. I'm going to stop there because it looks like in our answers that's where it stops. So that number that we got right there, all I did was put that negative 2 onto the 5.4. So 5.4 to the power of negative 2. That's how I got that number. Then what we got to do, we also got to apply this negative 2 to the times 10 to the negative 3 power. So negative 3 times negative 2, that's going to get us positive 6. So times 10 to the positive 6. Now, we got to move that decimal place 2 to the right. So we get 3.429. Because remember, we could only have one number to the left of the decimal. That's scientific notation. And since I move it 2 to the right, I got to subtract 2 from that power. So that 6 now becomes a 4. Because 6 minus 2 gets you a 4. That's how we get an answer B for number 2. Let's do one more together. We have 1.88 times 10 to the positive 5 to the power of negative 5. So I do 1.88 to the power of negative 5. And we're going to get 0.04. 0.04 25 80 499. Cool. 7. This number comes from 1.88 to the negative 5 power. Next, we do times 10 to the 5 to the negative 5th power. Well, 5 times negative 5 gets you negative 25, so it'll be times 10 to the negative 25. Because positive times a negative is a negative. Now, with our decimal, we could only have one number to the right of the to the left of the decimal, so we move it to the right twice, which means since we move it to the right twice, we're going to add 2 to that power. So negative 27 plus 2 gets us negative 25. So times 10 to negative 25. So our answer is going to be 4.25 8 times 10 to negative 25. I'm sorry, if you move it to the right, 2. You have to subtract 2. I'm not goofball somewhere. Alright. Did it all too quickly in my head. Negative 25. Because 5 times negative 5 is negative 25. What happens when I do too many things in my head? So negative 25. Negative 25. Since we move to the right 2, we have to subtract 2. So we get negative 27. And that's the correct answer. Good. So 3 is C. Alright, ladies and gents. Let's give you a couple more problems that you could practice. Like that one. This one. This one. And here's your classwork and your homework. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, feel free to email me or come to Extra Help. I'll be happy to help you out. And that's it. Hopefully this helped. Have a good night.